Hey, it's Brian with Gemlux. We get a lot of questions about how to use taglines, how to set them up, and the parts that are needed to do so. So I want to go through all that with you today, show you how we do it, and some of the best ways to set it up. First thing we're going to do is go over the parts. Most of this stuff you can get at your local tackle shop. However, the dredge clamps, we manufacture these and sell these specifically for our outriggers. You can get these from Jerry. There's a link in the description below where you can go purchase these as well. The purpose of the dredge clamp is to attach your tagline to, and I'll show you how we do that in just a little bit. Next thing you need is a roll of 400-pound monofilament, crimps, a tagline return, a ball stop, and then you're going to need a free spinning ball barrel snap swivel. It's very important that the line can spin freely so you don't have any twisted up lines. And then the last thing you need is a spring clip just like this. We like this clip because it has all rounded edges. There's no sharp corners or anything to cut your rubber band when you're actually fishing. These are the dredge clamps that we manufacture. They go on the outrigger poles, and all you need to install them is a Phillips head screwdriver. It actually comes apart into 4 pieces. Then you put it back together around the pole, and that's what allows your tagline to attach to the pole. This is an 80-pound class tackle ball bearing snap swivel. You want to make sure you use a nice high quality swivel that'll actually spin freely. You do not want your tagline twisting up while you're trolling. The next thing you're going to need is a ball stop. This goes on the bottom of the tagline so that when the fish hits, there's something to brace that clip from coming back and smacking into the boat. This is a tagline return. I'll show you exactly how this works in just a little bit, but this is what brings your tagline back to the boat after a fish strikes, instead of the tagline just dangling freely in the water. 400-pound mono, there's a ton of different brands. This one's made by Diamond Fishing. They supply the crimps as well. You can get that at your local tackle shop. And the last thing is a spring clip. This clip is very easy to use. Once you attach it to your tagline, your rubber band just slides in and out of here very freely, and it doesn't have any sharp edges that are going to cut your rubber band while you're fishing or trying to deploy your taglines. So I'm going to show you a quick small assembly of what a tagline is going to look like once it's attached to the outrigger, and then we'll actually go set it up on the pole and show you how to do that. But I want to make sure you understand exactly how we do this. So your dredge clamp is going to be on your pole already. We're going to take the snap swivel and attach it to that free spinning guide right there. The next thing you're going to do is take your crimp, put it on the mono, and attach it to your snap swivel. And I'm going to leave this free right now just so that I can show you. The next thing you're going to do is run your tagline return along your long rigger and the tagline. So both of those lines are going to be inside that tagline return. And again, that's going to help you bring the tagline back to the boat after a fish hits. Next, we'll slide on our little ball stop, another crimp, and then lastly your spring clip. So this is a very small version of what you'll see on the tagline when I set it up, but this is what it's going to look like when it's done. Now that you know the parts needed to put your tagline on, we're going to go back here and show you how we do it. All right, so now we're back at the back of the boat. I'm going to show you how to attach this dredge clamp to the rigger pole and where we like to attach it, and maybe a reason or two why we like to attach it there. First thing you need to do is pull the screws out of your dredge clamp. It'll come like halfway assembled, and you'll see that it comes apart pretty easily once you do that. All right, so if you look here, we don't want to attach our tagline to the very end of the pole. We want it here, and the reason for that is so you can run your long rigger clip up out of the way when you're using your taglines. So what I'm going to do now is attach this to the pole with the screws that it came with. So we want to run it up here so that your outrigger pole will still collapse all the way when you're ready to do so. So we make these dredge clamps in 3 different sizes right now: 4, 5, and a 6, and that corresponds to the pole size that it attaches to. So on our 22-foot poles, they're made up of a 6, 5, 4, 3 pole. So if you wanted to get these clamps and run a dredge off of them, you would probably need a 5 and a 6, but if you're attaching the high-speed tagline, a number 4 is going to be what you need. Also, if you're going to be high-speed wahoo fishing or tagline fishing, you definitely want to go with the 22 or 27-foot outriggers, whereas the 18s aren't really built for it. All right, so next we're going to attach the swiveling guide ring, and what this does is it helps your angle of the tagline or dredge or whatever you're using this for stay true to where it needs to be. You're not going to have any awkward angles going on. And I'll show you once I get this tight how it swivels around the pole to accomplish that. And see how it spins freely. I forgot to mention earlier, you're definitely going to need a pair of crimp tools. Now we're going to go back to the back of the boat and finish setting up this tagline. I'm going to unroll some line here. You always want to make sure you have more than enough and not too little. You can always cut some extra off. You can't add extra when you need it. So I'm going to pull off what I think is more than enough for the tagline. Let's do a couple more just to be sure. You got to figure with a 22-foot outrigger, you're probably going to need at least 22 feet of tagline. I would pull off 30 to 35 feet just to be sure. You probably already know this, but don't lay this down without swiveling it up. It'll turn into a bird's nest. So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and attach my snap swivel to one end of my tagline. And this is what will attach to the dredge clamp that we just installed a minute ago. Just pull it tight. Give it a nice crimp. We're good to go. Now we're going to take this end and go ahead and attach it to the dredge clamp. Actually, I want it on top there so it's up out of the way. Now we want to make sure we extend this pole to where we like to fish it, and then set up our tagline and finish it at that point so that everything's the right length. All right, so we extended the outrigger poles all the way out and got them out and up into the fishing position that you like the most. We did this so that we can measure the tagline and figure out exactly how long it needs to be. As you can see on this setup particularly, it's going to end up being right here at the top, because what we wanted to be able to do is clip that spring clip right at the bottom of our halyard when we're not using it, and it'll stay out of the way. You'll also notice that I haven't completely crimped the bottom of my long rigger line. That's by design. You have to be able to slide your tagline on in this location, so I leave that loose until I'm ready to seal everything up, which I'm going to show you how to do right now. So what I'm going to do now is actually slide this tagline return onto my long rigger line, and you'll notice it has to be below the clip, otherwise your whole setup's not going to work correctly. Now I'll bring this back and get it tight where we liked it. It'll be a little bit tighter. Right about there is good. So now I'll trim this, and then we'll attach the tagline. So I'll come back and trim this. I don't want any tag ends, so I'll slide that back down a little bit. Give it a couple crimps and you're good. So this is the last part of the setup, and then we'll show you how to use them. You want to make sure your tagline is in front of your long rigger and not twisted around it, because once you put this clip on, it's harder to get undone. So it's pretty easy. All you'll do is slide this through your tagline return, making sure you don't twist. Come through, slide on a crimp. Actually, I'm sorry. You want your ball stop on first, then your crimp, and your clip. And again, I have extra line here, so we'll pull all that through and make sure everything's nice and tight. And again, the point of this ball is for when a fish hits, you don't want this thing to come flying back at the boat with nothing but a stainless steel clip. I actually prefer a cork, but this is what we had today, so a cork will give you a little bit of padding if it does come back and hit you. I'll snap this on here because that's where we'll be keeping it. Pull it nice and tight. That's where we're going to crimp our tagline. So as you can see, by doing it this way, your tagline's always here. You can use it when you want to. You don't have to use it all the time if you're ballyhoo fishing or whatever. You can see your long rigger still works, even with the tagline there. So you can fish however you want to. You can switch in the middle of the day from ballyhoo fishing to high-speed fishing just by using the different line. Before we actually go out and show you how to deploy the lines, I want to show you kind of how this works. What'll happen is you'll set your line back to where you want to fish it. So this is your long left. You'll set it back 150 yards, 150 feet, whatever your preference is. Then you'll take a rubber band and put it in this clip. Go around your line about 10 times and then back into this clip with the rubber band. At that point, you let your line back, you put your reel into free spool, and it'll take this line and it'll run it along that long rigger all the way up to there. And your tagline will be out behind the boat like a strong release clip. When a fish hits, here's exactly what happens. Tagline drops, the return brings it back to the boat. All right, so now we're out on the water. Yes, we're still inshore. The weather's really bad offshore today. I wish we could actually go fishing, but still want to show you how to do this. We're going to set the tagline out. I'm going to show you all the steps to do so. All you really need is a couple rubber bands and then have access to your tagline and your rod right here next to it. So we're going to go ahead and set our lure out to about where we want to fish it. I like running mine about 150 feet back. Next thing you're going to do is take your tagline and put the rubber band through it. So it's just hanging like that. Now you grab your line. And you want to go completely around your main line. About 10 times. Then you take the last end loop of your rubber band and go back into your clip. So that's what you end up with. And you'll see immediately how it starts to pull that tagline outward. Now make sure your clicker's on. Put your reel into free spool and hold it. And then you deploy your line. You can see the tagline goes up and out. Put your reel back into strike and you're fishing. So what happened there is we simulated a fish bite. Obviously we're back inshore, just trying to show you how it works. What happened is the rubber band broke and you can see the tagline return brought your clip right back to you so that you can set it back out. Normally that would not happen unless a fish hit, if you got everything set up correctly. So we showed you the parts that you need, how to attach it to the pole, the complete setup, and how to deploy it and fish it. There's a couple more things I want to mention. I may be repeating myself, but you always want to make sure your long rigger is set all the way to the tip of the pole. That way your tagline return can go up freely and back freely. If you have your long rigger clip in close, that's as far as your tagline return is going to go. So as long as you got it out at the tip and your dredge clamp is set back inboard of that, then you're going to be safe. One last thing, Monofilament is the preference when you're using taglines. I know from personal experience, if you put braid into a tagline, the braid will wrap up on itself in the rubber band, and when a fish hits, it sounds like a shotgun. You're gonna lose everything. So there is a way to fish braided line on a tagline, and it's by putting a wax loop in the line. This accomplishes two things. You can actually fish your taglines with braid, and it puts a mark on your reel as to where you want to fish it every time. So it really helps getting your spread back out quickly. What you'll notice is the way we have this rigged, your tagline is going to sit right at the base of your halyards when you're not using it. So that helps you with storage, helps you when you're not using it. When you're fishing bait, it's up out of the way and everything's nice and healthy, and you don't have to worry about it getting in the way or banging around. All right, so hopefully we've answered all your questions. If you do have any further questions about the setup or how to fish it, just give us a call at the office. Myself or Jerry will be happy to help you.